Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter, whatever you call it, is a show about fighting and growing. And so an important aspect of the show is really figuring out the differences between the strength of the fighters. This is both an internal concept of the show, as many characters have certain rivalries, and of course an external factor, as many fans debate on who would beat who in fight. While watching this video, there are a couple of things to be aware of. The first thing is that this list is strictly pertinent to the anime. Certain revelations of character strength in the manga will not be considered. Second is the potential will not be considered. Thus, characters like Gon and Killua and Kurapika are not included. Now without further ado, let's get into the top 10 most powerful characters in the Hunter x Hunter universe. So on the 10th number, the character is Jin. There was a lot of uncertainty about choosing Jin Freeze to be on this list. We hear a lot about extraordinary hunters, but we do not get to see him fight, and so it is difficult to truly judge his powers. For all we know, he could simply be the cleverest of the hunter and has trap upon traps set up for anyone who wishes to get close to him. So it is slightly hard to claim him as the being one of the most powerful. Nonetheless, we know few things about him, and he has been able to evade the prying eyes of the other professional hunters for years. He clearly has an extremely powerful control over Nen, as Neto states that Jin is one of the top 5 Nen users in the world. He probably trained Kite, who has enough power to truly excite Pito in battle. There are a lot of facts that point to Jin being an incredibly powerful person. We just never get to see him in the forefront. On the 9th number, the character is Hisoka. Hisoka is everyone's favorite antagonist or anti-hero. It's hard to tell what path Hisoka is walking, but anytime he is on screen, people can expect something epic to happen. That's because Hisoka is always looking for a good fight, and his ability and personality are some of the most entertaining to watch. Luckily for fans, his skills do not match his arrogance, and he can back up every single threat he throws. His bungee gum and texture surprise are simply perfect ability for his personality type. They match so well with his complicated strategies, as they provide plenty of options for feints and traps. On the 8th number, the character is Krolo. It was actually very difficult to say that Krolo is stronger than Hisoka, but Krolo has proven himself to be considered a threat by some of the strongest people in the world, such as both Zeno and Silva Zoldyck. Besides being a quite adept at fighting and coming up with strategies, his particular ability gives him an advantage over the tons of characters. If you haven't really watched the show, his ability is essentially copying the abilities of others, and so he essentially has a massive arsenal of abilities. This makes him a deadly character in numerous ways, but most particularly in fact that no one can truly guess what he will do next. On the 7th number, the character is Silva Zoldyck. Silva is the current head of the Zoldyck clan, and it is debatable whether or not he is stronger than his father Zeno. While Zeno is quite old and has let his son succeed him as head of the house, we haven't been able to see as much of Silva's powers. Nonetheless, Silva's strength is made quite clear that through his hostile relationship with Krolo. Not only has Silva and Krolo fought each other to what must have been a standstill, Silva has also killed one of the members of the Phantom Troop. This already puts him at very high level. We also get to see him destroy a Chimera Ant in one blow while going to pick up Zeno from Chimera Ant Fortress. It's obvious that he is close to his father's level of skills, but it is difficult to decide who is more powerful. On the 6th number, the character is Puff. Puff is one of the royal guards for the Chimera Ant family. He is the most intelligent of the Chimera Ants. What he lacks is strength, which is still considerable compared to most professional hunters. He makes up for in tactics. As a fighter, we watched Puff essentially inflict a mental shutdown on the hunter now and then proceed to outwit Meruem and his tricky smoky gel. From his abilities, which allowed him to separate and reconstruct on molecular level, it is obvious that he could prove troublesome for most fighters. Sadly, he dies due to him helping Meruem regain his strength and the poison from the miniature rose, and so we are unable to see him in more of the decisive battles. On the 5th number, the character is Zeno Zoldyck. Zeno is the oldest member of the Zoldyck clan, for thus just starting the show. This means he is the grandfather of Killua and was once a head of the most powerful clan of assassins in the world. Despite being quite ancient, Zeno's power, speed and control over Nen is unbelievable. We really get a close-up of his powers when he forces Krolo, a powerful user in his own right, into a corner Admittedly, Zeno's son Silva was present at the fight and definitely put Krolo at a disadvantage. Nonetheless, we come to realize that Zeno has not really unleashed his full powers during the fight, because we get to see a deeper glimpse of his powers when he invaded the Chimera Ant's fortress. Though he stops fighting after he initially assaults on the castle, one thing is for sure, that he is not afraid of Pito, and Pito really wants to fight him. On the 4th number, the character is Yuppie. Yuppie is the brazen warrior and is the only member of the Chimera Ant Royal Guard that has no human genes within him. Nope, he is an Chimera Ant and a magical beast, and in terms of simple physical strength, he is even stronger than Neferpito. It's really Neferpito's intellect and abilities that put her at the level above. Back to Yuppie though. This Chimera Ant basically took on team of professional hunters and took them out with ease. This is especially notable when Yuppie is taking on Knuckle and Shoot, and thus two hunters are barely able to keep themselves alive against the relentless onslaught of Yuppie. Though Killua is a badass, especially in fusing his body with lightning, it is a question if he would be able to defeat Yuppie in his sheer strength. This is because Yuppie gave up a great amount of his strength in order to feed Meruem, who has just survived what was essentially a nuke. On the 3rd number, the character is Pito. Neferpito is essentially the second in command for the Chimera Ants. She is insanely powerful and fast, and her main abilities are particularly deadly. Even Neto has to wonder if he would be able to overcome her. But that match was not meant to happen, as he headed for the king. Now Neferpito is essentially a puppet master, and her ability can let her control over 50 puppets, essentially creating a mini army. However, her most frightening strength comes from when she makes a puppet out of herself through Terpiscora. This ability basically allows her to go beyond her limits and reach a level of speed and strength that is unimaginable. On the 2nd number, the character is Isaac Netero. Isaac Netero is the current chairman of the Hunter Association, and he was considered as the strongest hunter at one point in his life, as he had claimed the title of the world's strongest nen user. To this day, this is arguably whether any hunter's power has been quite close to matching his. At his current age, or what he was in his prime, he does admit that there are at least 5 who has better control of their nen, but this statement hasn't really been fleshed out with any example. His abilities are vast, with his particularly most impressive skill being his ability to summon. Even though he is quite old, his strength is quite powerful. Viewer get a small dose early when he challenges Killua and Gon to a game of Steal the Ball. Though Killua and Gon didn't even know Nen at this point, Netero essentially toyed with our two promising boys. Then we get to see all his glories in the fight with Meruem, and this fight shows how powerful Netero was. And on the 1st number, as we all thought, the character is Meruem. At the head of the Chimera Ant, we have seen an infamous Meruem. He is a being so impossibly powerful that essentially no one can beat him. And to add to his renown is the fact that he is essentially a newborn. Apparently, Gon as an adult could possibly match Meruem's ability, according to Pito. But at the moment in the show, Gon cannot handle the future form. That aside, let's discuss Meruem's actual powers and why he is at the top of this list. First off, he was born as a biological weapon, means to essentially conquer everything, and is shown capable of mastering any type of skills or strategies. We get glimpses of such powers upon being introduced to him. However, his epic strength is shown in full with his battle against strongest hunter Netero. Essentially, Netero's supersonic speed and power cannot damage Meruem, and Meruem proceeds to soundly defeat the strongest human alive. Case closed. Oh, and he survived a nuke too. Well, there you go. These are definitely the top 10 strongest characters in the Hunter x Hunter universe. I will give one honorable mention though to a character who was vying for the 10th spot. Illumi was really powerful and he should be on the list, but I was really confused who should I choose. So yeah, that was the video guys. If you enjoyed this video, just don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I post daily anime content about top 10 top 5 listings, anime reviews, recommendations and all sort of anime content on daily basis. So if you enjoyed, please subscribe, and that was it, and I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.